All right. So welcome, queens. We're about to get it started. That just gave y'all some time to get it together. If you had anything going on, sometimes distractions are for purpose. So we're just going to go ahead and take that. And we're going to start with our mission. So our mission here at RAIN is to help women elevate by owning our crown in identity, creativity, and power, to build fulfilling lifestyles through passions. We uplift through our mind, our body, and our soul. Ladies, this is so important to know because as we come inside of RAIN, we work on self-love, healing, growing, learning the deepest parts of ourselves. But be clear that it's for you to step into your power. It's for you to step into your creativity. It's for you to realize that you were made for more than just this existing way of living and paying the bills and going to work and taking care of the kids and paying the bills and going to work. And redundancy, like this way of living where we consistently keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's so important that you know that you were made for more. So as we heal, as we grow, we really truly step into that power that will uplift our mind, body, and soul and take us to the next level. And not only do we provide the ways to be able to heal, but we also provide the ways to step into your creativity and power to build fulfilling lifestyles. Like, be so clear on what we can give you, because beyond these 21-day challenges, we can help you earn income right from home, being on your IG. Instead of just scrolling to scroll, you get to scroll to become, to grow, and to really uplift yourself, but also make some money, because let's be honest, making extra money matters to keep the lights on, especially when we're in really unpredicted times. We don't know if we're going to have a job tomorrow. Maybe some of you are in that situation. So I just wanted to be super clear on what our mission is. I know we tell you all the time, but from me personally, I think it's so important that you know. And whoever just marked that up, I guess we're just letting us know that women elevate together, right? I wonder how that happens. So strange. And our pledge and our commitment statement just keeps us covered. So tonight we're going to have an awesome women's panel going over some deep things. My husband's going to be our host, so that's why he's here if you were wondering. And we just get to elevate together. So what is this? Help, Jesus. So
if somebody is on an iPad, that will happen.
They can just write on my own screen?
Intentionally, it's just the way it is, yeah. So whoever it is, they said sorry. At least they tried.
Okay, you tried. Well, I was like, either they need help, the Jesus is here, or something. I'm so spiritual about everything. My husband's like, okay, not everything is Jesus and the devil.
Amanda, that is
me.
right.
Okay, girl, no problem. No problem. Ooh, Jesus. Okay. All right, so I'm going to just read this and move on. So, when we get to the blank, you put your name in there, ladies. This is about us growing, elevating. This was written, honestly, like 10 years ago from me, and I've taken it to sisterhood, but it was written as the woman that I wanted to become so that I would attract these women. So that's the pledge and commitment, not just to cover us, but to really step into our greatness. So as a woman of RAIN, I, Amanda, say your name, pledge to strive for excellence in my pursuit to be a strong and loving woman. I will fight to be better in all aspects of my life with the help and support from the RAIN family. I will be responsible to the tasks that I commit to within RAIN and let my integrity show through my actions. I understand that change starts from within. I commit to proper nutrition and fitness for the health and wellness of my body. As I look in the mirror to humble myself, I will become a better support to others and always have their best interests at heart. I commit to the confidentiality of RAIN and understand that the information I learn from my involvement will stay within the group. I will walk in the name of love to the best of my ability. Fire, fire, fire. So know that this isn't just a paragraph for fun that we all struggle reading through. It's really about becoming better, growing, and really helping each other to elevate. Isn't that what you want? People in your life that are going somewhere, because it'll help you go somewhere. And I'm so honored to really introduce the host for tonight, the hostess with the mostest, my incredible husband, but really, truly somebody who fights for us. He's constantly pouring into this sisterhood behind the scenes, giving me so much feedback, constantly bringing new ideas. He really is the pillar of our home, right? In my home. So therefore, anything that really I touch includes my husband. And it's just really a blessing to be able to stand together with him in power and victory. But I can tell you one thing, that our life is not perfect. We have our struggles, and we definitely are going to be open and transparent about that as we go into the questions tonight. So please give it up for my incredible husband, Izzy Marshall.
Awesome. Again, ladies, thank you for allowing me to host this women's panel. I did it once before and I was on fire when I got off. So I'm honored that you guys had me back. I know I'm coming with some heat as I did last time. So for all the ladies that's on the panel, be ready to get your thinking cap going because we're looking for some thoughtful answers, right? We don't want no basic generic answers. Look, Kel's over there praying, girl, start praying. I'm telling you, start praying. I'm coming with the heat. We really want to dig in your heart, right? Like so vulnerable, so transparent. Just let us all have it. As you guys speak, as you ladies speak, believe it or not, I took a lot of weight last time. And so it's really powerful for me also to learn as well as the ladies that are on this call. So we'd like to just welcome Amanda, Jenny, Kels, Kaz, and Raquel to represent on our women's panel. Let's give it up for the ladies. Thank you, ladies. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. If you don't have an answer for any questions that I asked you, feel free to just say, I'm gonna pass on that one, and I'll divert it over to another girl. All right. Okay. For this first question, let's go with Cass. All right. For the first question, tell us about a time in your life where you feel like you hurt yourself. Oof. And then tell us like how you overcame that hurt.
All right, Izzy, coming out the box swinging. I see you. Sheesh. About a time I hurt myself. And what was the second part? How I overcame that?
Yes.
Okay. So I would actually say, I'll go deep for you. A time I hurt myself is, right, Kel? So they're right behind my laptop. A time I hurt myself was actually when I sat down for the first time with my biological mom to have a conversation. I was very closed off. I was not open. I was not open to receiving. I thought I was. I thought I did all of the work. And me not being ready for the conversation that I so thought I was ready for, and that I'm this independent, strong woman, I can handle this. It actually hurt me a lot because it then impacted my relationship with my brothers, because that's their mom. So for me, I had to really take a step back and tell myself, hey, it took about 4 years. This was not no overcoming overnight kind of thing. It took about 4 years where I had to say, you're making everybody awkward because you weren't ready for that conversation when you had it. And you need to take a step back and kind of heal what's in your heart, truly forgive. You thought you forgave and you thought you were good. I walk around saying I'm blessed because I'm adopted. I lived a better life, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, that part of my heart wasn't healed. And so I went into a conversation not prepared, and it then trickled down and bled on other people. It impacted my relationships with my brother. When people would come into the house, it was really awkward. I would literally hug every single one of y'all on this call and then look at her and keep walking. Like, that's not okay, right? So that was doing nothing but hurting myself more. And the way that I got over that, I was truly forgiving, truly taking a moment to understand. Rain and actually a lot of the personal development I've done has helped me understand, like, you don't know what she was going through at that time. So even though you were given up for adoption, you're hurting and you don't understand the situation, you can't judge her either in that. So I would say thinking I was a badass chick ready for a conversation that I wasn't ready for hurt my heart, but it made me grow also.
Oh, that's powerful. That leads into the next question of sometimes we seek validation in other people's responses, right? Mm-hmm. And so, Jenny, if you can share with us, how has a past or present relationship, doesn't only have to be a guy, right? It can be a parent, it can be a best friend of that nature. How has a past or present relationship helped you heal or help you grow?
Dang, I got so many. I guess it kind of goes along with like what Cass, when she was talking, I was thinking like, what would my answer have been? And it actually ties into this is my relationship with my dad. I grew up with my dad primarily just seeing him on the weekends, and I had a lot of hurt and anger towards him. And I was talking to Cass about this weekend, that I don't know that I necessarily did forgiveness work with him, but I had to understand. I had to understand what he was going through when my parents got divorced, when they separated, you know, who is he and who is he with his parents? So asking him questions, because my dad's dad was passed away before I was even born. So I never got to meet him. But asking my dad, hey, what was your relationship like with your dad? Opened up my eyes completely, because I had this expectation of my dad up here and he came in down here. And it was because his relationship with his father was just at a lower level. Growing up in Wisconsin, drinking is a culture there. So him and his dad would drink in the bar together, and that's kind of how they really bonded. And not that they were alcoholics, but that's what they did to bond. And so for me coming in, that's what he experienced as a parent. And my grandma is amazing, but the roles were so different back then, so very traditional. So I don't think there was like that bonding that I wanted. So I had unspoken expectations of him, and I didn't understand, his situation. So when I learned that, it was like water under the bridge, and I was able to heal, because I was like, it's not his fault that he wasn't meeting my expectation because he didn't know it, but he also couldn't live up to that because that's not he was experienced. So now going forward, I'm just getting to know him. And now that he lives out here in Arizona, it's beautiful. Like, he called me yesterday, like, hey, what are you doing? Just to catch up. And it's like, hey, let's have lunch next week Sunday. I'm like, okay, perfect. Whereas before, I would have dodged his call, waited a month to call him back. But it's really been beautiful to see that relationship help heal me, because I know I had all the daddy issues that everybody says they don't got, but they really have. So healing that relationship has helped me like heal so many other parts of my life.
So powerful. Instead of seeking that validation, you sought out understanding. And I'm going to drop a quote for you ladies. All right. So this is something to write down. If you have not read The 7 Habits, definitely check out this book. Kobe said in his book, seek first to understand and then to be understood. And many times of our life, we don't try to understand, but we want to be understood. Right. And so this kind of leads into what you were talking about, Jenny. And honey, you can piggyback on it. In what ways can someone work on not seeking external or internal validation for happiness?
In what ways can somebody not seek external validation for happiness?
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's first an understanding of what happiness is, because happiness is honestly a choice. It's perspective. It's what we're focusing on. And so happiness really comes from a state of gratitude, which ultimately gratitude comes from your perspective, your way of thinking. And so a way to not seek external things is to know that you have control of your happiness, whether somebody else gives it to you or not. Your job, even the way that your car runs. I mean, there's other things outside of people that we seek happiness from. Sometimes when the car breaks down, we automatically just think that, oh, worst day ever. And now we lose our happiness, our joy, and our fulfillment because of an external thing. But it's really important that we just know the power that we have through our thoughts. We're transformed by renewing our mind. So really choosing to pick the right thoughts, and know that you're going to have bad thoughts, because negative is natural. So don't beat yourself up when you think bad, because that's just part of being human. But it's feeding ourselves with consistent things that uplift us, that'll allow us to have a stronger mindset. And then really just knowing that you're good. From the space of wholeness, knowing that you're worthy, getting to know God deeper. When you start to get to know God deeper, you start to learn about yourself more. And something for me personally, why I'm so heavy on my relationship with God, is because I personally didn't feel like I was worthy until I understood his purpose for my life. And when I started to love him more and trust him more, I had to believe that I was good enough because he made me. So it changed the way I was seeing my situations, like this was bad, or this was wrong, or I'm wrong, or I'll never be good enough if he doesn't love me, or I'll never be good enough if he doesn't want to have sex with me. Like those validation things that I personally struggled with before, I would absolutely say by learning about myself and getting to know God helped me to stop seeking the external validation. And the last point that I will say for this is to fast over the things that you think that you need externally. So if you think that you need the man and the attention, fast over it, so you'll see that you can still have happiness without it. Literally anything outside of us that makes us feel good, anything outside of us that makes us feel validated, if you eventually consistently put your worth in it, it'll leave you broken every time. It doesn't matter what it is. Even your husband, You know, like sometimes we even trust men, and he does have a responsibility for my happiness. I disagree with Jada Pinkett. I saw like a post going around like a man is not responsible for he is responsible. I'll elaborate on that later. All right. He is responsible for my happiness to an extent because he's connected to my happiness. He can do something that can tear my world apart. That's just facts, right? However, I'm internally responsible for my own peace within myself and doing what I need to do to fulfill my mission for life. That doesn't matter what other people do. So my mission to be a great wife to Izzy can't be contingent upon him doing his part. Even though that matters, unconditional love says, I'm going to do my part because that's who I am. And you get to do your part because that's who you are. However, what I do isn't going to be based on what you do. Hopefully that makes sense. And that just helps you have a better overall life and happiness.
Yes, that's fire. So that's great hearing the different things that set you apart, and you kind of flowed into my next question. And it's beautiful because all the things you spoke is so true, and it shows up daily. And so let's see, for Kels, what sets you apart? What attributes or qualities as a woman do you have that when you walk in a room, you see a halo over your head and you know that you are the stuff?
Oh, okay. Bring some attitude to this answer, girl.
It's funny you asked that because I was driving down the street. I just felt like hyping myself up today. I was like driving down the street and I was like, I be painting and stuff. Like I'm artsy. Not everybody is artistic. It's like, you go, girl. You be painting pictures and doing crafts and stuff like that. So I just kind of hyped myself up. But I feel like what sets me apart, I wouldn't say that like what sets me apart, it puts me above or puts me beneath another woman, because I feel like we're all like unique in our own way, and that's not politically like correct. That's just like facts. That's how I feel. But I think that my sense of humor, my awkwardness, my social awkwardness sometimes, it sets me apart because it's just me. My mindset, I think I have a very solution-oriented mindset. And part of that comes from this community and working on mindset and being positive. But I think another part of that comes from my like background with like arts and crafts and things like that. Like if I see a picture, in my mind, the way my brain works is I'm dissecting, like I can think back like in reverse to how that was created. So if you show me something, I'm like, they probably did this first and then this second, and that's how they ended up. And for a long time, I thought everybody like thought that way, but I'm realizing not everybody has that mindset. So I think that's also something that sets me apart.
Yes. I mean, that's the way we think as teachers, right? Begin with the end in mind. Again, one of Covey's 7 habits, backwards thinking. And so that's powerful. Thank you so much, Kels, for that. Raquel, I got one for you. So we talked last time about when is a good time to introduce your kids to a guy, right? We talked a little bit about that. So I do want you to answer that question. But what are signs that you may have seen where you were like, okay, I'm actually going to pull back and not introduce my kids to a guy who maybe has potential, but not quite there yet?
Man, I am rare when it comes to that. I am the overly protective mother, so I've never introduced my kids unless it ever gets serious. I think especially for me, it comes from I married my son's father when my daughter was younger. And so he was a part of her life for a very long time. And then when we separated and he went his way, and when he stepped out of his son's life, he also stepped out of my daughter's life. And so even though my daughter has such a strong father figure, which is her father, it still affected her in many ways. And that was like the most hurtful thing for me. Like I grew up without a dad. So for me was having a man walk out of her life. Like what damage will that do to her? And honestly, I'm grateful for Rain because it really brought that awareness in my mind. Like before I was just overprotective. Nobody was going to meet my kids, period. But with Rain, it just made me aware of like, it has to be something worthy and it has to be something serious and it has to be something healthy for my kids to ever get to know that person. And so not that I have my guard up, but with that comes my standards. So like if I'm talking to somebody and that person is just not up to my standards, I've learned to stop settling so much. Because before it was like, well, this was my mindset. Who's going to want to be with me with 2 different kids, with 2 different baby daddies? Like, am I worthy of that? And it's like, well, I am actually. When I get to know me and when I get to love me, I know I'm worthy of a good man who's going to love my children and accept my children and treat them as theirs. So it sets my standards so high that I'm like, nobody meets my kids. Like, even my guy friends, I'm like weird about that at first, because I'm just like, I don't know who's going to be consistent and inconsistent in their lives. So that's a big deal for me. But just, I haven't gotten to the point yet of meeting somebody and saying, oh, they can meet my kids. Because for me, it's like they have to meet my standards. And it's not a list, because I watched a sermon with Pastor Todd where they were like, rip the list. And I ripped my list, but I still have standards and I still have beliefs and traditions and like an image of what I would like a healthy relationship to look like. And so until I'm in that, I don't see myself ever introducing my kids to that person.
Awesome, so powerful. It's so true. Have a standard, and never allow someone or doubt creep in and say, "Ooh, I need to lower this standard to the next best thing." No, you are worthy, and so you get to continue to keep that standard because your kids also deserve that as well. All right, we're gonna switch it up a little bit here. Going back to you, Cass. Do you believe a man should be the leader in your relationship prior to marriage?
Well, I saw Amanda like, we just gonna mute that one. All right. I do actually. So I'm definitely an alpha female galore. If anybody knows anything about communication styles, I'm a 90% driver, which means I need something done, I go, right? But I definitely have found, and actually one of my guy friends helped me discover that one of the reasons I've been single for 4 years and one of the reasons I haven't really gotten in a relationship is I have not found anybody that I trust enough to lead me. I have not found anybody that I feel that can take the reins from me. And I want to give them the reins, but I'm like, no, like I can't hand this over to you because I don't trust you enough. But I really want to. I want somebody to say, hey, this is what we're going to do. I want somebody to take control of the situation, to lead me through something, to be, the man that can lead me in my life. I actually was maybe 2 months ago, maybe Jenny. Yeah, maybe 2 months ago, I was talking to a guy and I was getting to know him. And he was alpha, I'm alpha. I'm like, okay, everything was going great. And it actually turned out, and this is no shade to anybody's religion, but he's Jehovah's Witness. And I was like, ooh, I don't know. And I really had a strong conviction because he's like, well, I don't practice it. And I'm like, okay. And Jenny helped call this out for me because I asked him, actually Alex on the call said, ask him if he puts up a Christmas tree. And I was like, hey, do you put up a Christmas tree? He was like, nope, I would never allow that in my house. My kids are never going to have that around them, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, okay, I respect that. But you just told me you don't practice that religion, but you're practicing the belief. So if you're not even like centered in what you truly believe, you're already wavering in just this one topic. Like that's how you're going to lead me throughout this relationship. I'm like, we're just not yoked. We cannot go together. I'm like, I just can't trust you. And let me tell y'all, things went left, he went left, and God revealed exactly who he was. But that was just a moment of like, I can't even ask you about a Christmas tree and get a solid answer and trust that you're going to be honest and like steadfast in that. You're not going to be able to lead me in anything else. Oof.
Oh, yeah, big facts. That's awesome, man. That was powerful. That's awesome. To the left he goes. All right, then to the right to the next question. With that being said, honey, like tell me, like prior to me, don't speak about me. But if you were not married, what are some leadership qualities that you maybe looked for in a man that was like maybe non-negotiables, like he has to lead in this way? Kind of talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so when I saw you, what was the catch? Well, first and foremost, I am an alpha female. I think everybody knows that. So like that, it's really, really hard for me to let anybody lead. And I can honestly say that was my biggest struggle going into marriage, even though I was submitted to it. So I knew the order and I trusted God in it. And I wanted my man to lead, much like everything Cass said. But I realized that I struggled with it, and not because I wanted to be the leader or because I was alpha female or because I was dominant. I thought that was why. I know I'm not answering your question, but I'm going to. But the reason why I realized I was that way is because I had trust issues from pain. It was actually deeper rooted issues from upbringing when I was a child that was preventing me from trusting somebody to take care of me. It was like, well, you abandoned me, you rejected me, you left me hurt. So why should I trust anybody else, period? If mom and dad hurt me, love mom and dad and have healed, but that was a big thing. So for me early on, you know, really seeing somebody to be able to be worthy of that trust, it really starts with themselves. How do you lead yourself? You know, I was really big, and things, materialistic things don't matter to me, but the way that your habits are do. So do you have, you know, your own car and your own house, or do you just have a lot of shoes? If you got shoes and chains and you are drinking every weekend and you can take me to a nice dinner for $150, but you don't have a car, then that tells me that you're not leading in your own priorities. And so it's very important for me personally to know that you can hold your own before I know you can hold me. And again, it's not about like this materialistic thing, but it's just about a real thing. Like, how are you taking care of yourself? Izzy had a new apartment when I met him. And I was just like, he's got his own, like he cooked dinner for me, you know, like it was like bomb. I was like, there was so many things that aligned with the small things though. It wasn't big. It wasn't even about money. It was just about like, he had his own, he was taking care of his own. He had a daughter and he had his priorities in line. So that was really huge for me. And how do you take control of your relationship with God? I'm not putting my way on anybody, but for me personally, being a Christian is very important. Not practicing the faith, but practicing the relationship. How is your relationship with God? What does that actually look like in your life? Because a lot of people say that they're a man of God, but only few actually walk with God. Okay, you can know God, but does God know you? Do you know God to the deepest pieces of you that you're walking with him? And it's not even about being perfect, you know, it's just about trying to strive to be a better man because of who he is. And let me find out you caught the Holy Ghost, and it's going to be a whole nother world. I remember when Izzy told me that he had the Holy Spirit hit him and he was just crying in his car driving down the road. And, you know, he didn't speak in tongues yet, right? But he was like, this was just amazing. And that moment right there was like alignment. You know, like another level of alignment that you can spiritually lead me. I need my husband to be able to spiritually lead me, and also where I can trust him to correct me where I'm wrong, because ladies, as women, we're supposed to submit to our husbands. But if he ain't submitting to that Bible, what are you submitting to? And I'll leave it right there.
All right, I told her not to talk about me, but she went on a whole tangent. I'm gonna throw this question kind of actually, you know what? I'm gonna change the whole topic here. I'm just curious. Let's go to Raquel, and then Kel's be ready because there's a part 2 to this. All right. How have you, Raquel, been impacted by this racial inequality that's going on in the world? I know you're in a very unique situation where you have mixed children, and maybe your worry is their future. And if it is, maybe talk about that.
You're gonna make me cry. That's a touchy subject for me. Okay, I'm not gonna cry. For me, it's been very shocking emotionally and mentally for me. I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Costa Rica. I moved here when I was 17. So I didn't have to experience racism until I moved here. That's not a thing out there. I have cousins who are Black and I have cousins who are white with blue eyes, and we're just all the same, you know? So that was not a thing out there, but it was very much a thing here. So my first experience for me was as a Latina, you know, being stereotyped, and then I'm a woman with tattoos and piercings and all these things. So as I got tattoos and piercings, I was looked at differently. You know, one time I was harassed out the store by security because they thought I was going to steal something just because of the way I look. And this is as a Spanish woman. So now having to learn what's going on in the world, with how Black people are treated and all that was just very hard for me. Like, I've had some deep conversations with Calvana and Candace where I just cried so much trying to understand, especially as a mother to biracial children, because I'm like, one day I'm gonna have to sit and have a conversation with my kids about not being safe, you know. And I hope that the world changes so much that I don't have to, but it's just the truth. It's just the way it is, you know. So for me, it's been very shocking, but it's been a blessing in a way, because I've been able to learn and inform myself and be more supportive and just really hold for my friends, because I never really understood how difficult it was. I didn't really know much about, you know, I knew racism, but I didn't know to the extent that Black people had to go through, you know, until now, because I'm surrounded by beautiful, powerful Black people and I have biracial children. So it was just very like shocking and emotionally. I even reached out to like my daughter's father, and I was just like, you know, you are not you're not told how appreciated you are, you know, because in these times that's most what people need to know, that they have support, that they are valued, and that they matter. So for me, it's just been the biggest thing, you know, just educating myself as much as I could so I could be supportive to my friends and then one day my kids.
Yes, that's powerful. And you are supportive of your kids every time you wake them up, and every time you put them down to sleep. So kudos for you. For Kels, how have you dealt with racial inequality? You being a powerful African American woman, I know as a woman and being an African American woman, may have felt suppressed in many ways in life, whether it's in the workforce, in a relationship, or whatever it might be. How have you dealt with it?
Um, there's so much about that. But something I realized is growing up, it wasn't as big of a thing because I grew up in South Phoenix, and I grew up in the time of me like growing up, like the population I felt like in my classrooms, students looked like me. In the classroom, my teachers looked like me. So all I knew was like, you know, you work hard, you get good grades, and everybody around me was Black and successful in my eyes as a kid. But as an adult, I would say like around after high school, going to college, like being an art major, looking around the room, one day I looked like I was sitting in the front row because I'm a nerd like that. And I like turned around and looked at the lecture hall, and I was the only Black person in there. So like I'm used to having, being the representation and not having like other people that look like me after a certain level. Dealing with it, I mean, we're still dealing with it, right? It's an everyday thing. It's like a battle. It's like a weight that you pick up and put on like every day. But I think it's like perspective, finding things to find joy in, surrounding yourself by around people that are supportive of you and pour into you. And also like using our platform to educate. We did some of that with Rain. There's still so much more that can be talked about, like from our hair to, I don't know, hairstyles and what we choose to wear or how we choose to speak and all those types of things. But we've touched the tip of the iceberg.
Awesome. I appreciate you sharing. You start talking about hair, and I realized I didn't even have none, making me feel a little insecure there, Kels. But I do appreciate your response, and you continue to stand strong, because it's going to get harder before it gets easier, and until we continue to move forward, is when we'll see that progress. So very proud of you. We're going to switch gears here. This is a two-part question, so I'm not going to say who's going to be ready for the second part, but Jenny, you are up here. What are signs of an abusive relationship, right? We're talking about physical, mental, emotional. What are signs maybe you've experienced? What are signs that maybe you've seen your parents go through or a friend go through?
That is a good one. Sheesh, it's getting a little warm over here. I have seen a lot of like just like psychological abuse within relationships, and sometimes it's just like the tone that the person uses. So what tone are they coming at you with? They may be saying something, but how are they actually saying it to you? And just seeing like my friends like beaten down to a point where they don't even feel worthy, and they don't think that they can leave the relationship because no other man is going to ever love them, because this person has psychologically beaten them down for so long that they don't want to leave, because they're like, well, he's the only one who's going to love me. And I'm like, listen, he's trash. You need to go. But also, it's sometimes, like, for me, I haven't personally been in like an abusive relationship, but I've been around friends who have. And sometimes, like, they have to hit their bottom and their breaking point for them to know that they need to leave. But I get to be there and to lead with love and just love on them and remind them that they're worthy. But I've never personally been around someone who has been physically abused, so I can't speak on that per se. But for me, being that independent woman, like, if any man laid a hand on me, my butt would be gone. So sometimes I have a hard time helping those women, because I haven't been in that situation. But before Rain, had I been in that situation, I may have been one who stayed. I can't say because I haven't been in that. So if someone else of the Queen leaders has advice on that, I would love for you to share, because I don't feel adequate enough to fully answer that.
Jenny beat me to the punch. That was my second question. Second part to the question was, how have you handled an abusive relationship? And yeah, so if you have a Queen leader that would love to share, I know Amanda has stories on stories about it. Would love to open it up to any other Queen leaders.
I can share a little bit on that. I haven't been on a physical abusive relationship, but I've been in an emotionally and mentally abusive relationship. And I can just say that it just really makes you question everything, to a point where I even asked and I prayed and plead, like, is there even a God, because I felt like, was I going through stuff because I deserved it, or was I going through stuff because I was a bad person, So it's still hard to talk about for me, but I was in that space, somebody that had me so isolated from my friends that I had no friends, that my life revolved around my kids because that was my safe space, and so it was hard. It was hard, especially because you isolate yourself so much that you really feel like you're alone and you can't talk to nobody because, one, they will judge you, or two, they don't want to listen, or three, you really don't have the words to say what's going on. And for me, it was really just choosing to accept myself, forgive myself, love myself, forgive that person, and just seeing in that moment, like, that, one, it wasn't healthy for me and it wasn't a good example for my children, and two, that I deserve better. So when I started to see that, because everybody can tell you you're worthy and you deserve better and you can do better, but if you don't see it for yourself, you don't get out, and so the biggest part was just me knowing that I was worth more. And that was the first step, choosing to invest in myself. That's actually when I started my nutrition planning, when I started to focus my energy on positive things and being surrounded by community that uplifted me, so I could break free, so I could be strong enough to say, I get to walk away because I do deserve better. So if anybody in this call, is going through anything like that, like, anybody can tell you everything, you are worthy, you deserve better, but you have to choose that for yourself first. So that's my 2 cents.
I'll take the 2 cents and run with it. Appreciate you sharing there. And that was definitely a pivotal moment in your life. And that has seeped in many areas of the Queen that you are today. And so thank you for being courageous and sharing that. Honey, tell us about a pivotal moment that may have happened in your life, whether it was good or bad, where it has now helped mold you to be who you are and continue to rise.
Oh, okay. So many pivotal moments. One that I'll share that I probably haven't shared, that's more because a lot of times darkness will bring us into light. And so a lot of really bad things have happened to me that I've shared a lot about. But one that really changed my life was Rehab Time. It's an organization by Trent Shelton that, he had this whole motto going, see my heart, not my past. I was on Twitter back then. I still am on, but I'm not on it like actively. And I saw what he was posting and we got connected through there. We ended up doing a couple of Skypes at the time, just really learning about his mission. And I really fell in love with See My Heart, Not My Past, because I've been through so much in my past that I didn't want to be identified as it. But you can't really change your identity until you stop doing the things you did. And so for me, that was drinking, smoking, partying, having sex, just not really choosing to value myself, just ways that I didn't know my worth. And so it put me in situations that just weren't worthy of me, but I didn't know it. So I just kept degrading myself. And so See My Heart, Not My Past really allowed me to start just realizing that I mattered. It started to make me realize that I didn't have to be a product of my environment or my circumstances. And it really was a pivotal moment in my life personally. I will forever be grateful for Trent being, many years one of my best friends. We're not as connected now, but at the end of the day, I know that God placed him in my life for a very, very important purpose. My second women's group actually was within his organization. And so it just has helped me grow as a woman so much. I can honestly say, even speaking, I used to be on his rehab time calls back in the day. We used to have, I remember the first time we broke 1,000 people on a call. And I was the host. All I did was say, welcome to the call, invite your friends to join, welcome to the call, go ahead and mute yourselves. It's like all I did. But I was so nervous and I was so afraid to speak, and I didn't like my voice. When I would re-listen to the calls, I hated the way I sounded, and I would judge everything that I said. It also really, really helped grow my prayer life, because one time I was on a call and the person who was supposed to pray was not there and the pastor wasn't there. And I text Trent and I'm like, bro, nobody's on to pray. And he's like, great, you can pray. And I was so scared to pray out loud. I felt like my prayers weren't good. I felt like God didn't hear me in my prayers the way he heard Jocelyn's prayers or Pastor Shelton's prayers. I just judged myself so much. Jocelyn was the girl who used to pray. And after I prayed, I had people hit me up and tell me that my prayers shaped their life, like that I'm a prayer warrior. And it just opened my eyes to what I could be. And here we are now 11 years later, and we have our own sisterhood. So it's just amazing what will happen when you allow those doors to be opened, So rain could be your rehab time, and that's really what I do it for, to be the light that I needed when I was in darkness. So
Powerful. That's awesome. You speak a little bit about just some slopes you've gone through in your life, whether it was seeking validation through sex, using drugs, alcohol. We know you used to be on the cover of Hennessy. So you lived a good past time for sure. Kel's like, girl, I was there with you. I don't remember. Yeah, I know. I heard. I saw you too. I saw a couple pictures back in the day. So for Cass, what advice would you give to your younger self if you can, go back and have that conversation?
Oh man, you're gonna make me cry probably. Okay. First and foremost, I would give the advice of being a virgin, because I honor those that are, right? And I just honor what that stands for. It's so crazy. I'm in a spiritual journey and I'm like, that's what you want it to be. And you change that. It's so funny because I physically don't enjoy sex as much as I would want to. And I haven't, and I can go years, I can go months, and it's because it's not for me, but I gave in to peer pressure. My wildest years when my father passed away, I got super promiscuous. And so I would tell my younger self, it's okay, that you don't have to carry the world on your shoulders. You don't have to do everything that everybody wants you to do. You can chase your own goals and your own dreams. You don't have to live for other people. You don't have to be your parents' mistakes. You don't have to do what your parents didn't get to do. You don't have to do what you think is going to make you fit in with everyone. You get to live. You get to be true. You get to be you. You get to live the life you want to live unapologetically for yourself. And don't let anybody push you into a corner that you don't want to be in. Because, girl, you will end up with a lot of school debt. You will end up with unfulfilled dreams, and you will end up unsatisfied if you're chasing what other people want for you.
Man, that almost had me break out in some tears. That's powerful. Man, if only we can go back and change a couple of things in our life, or just not even change, just speak to our past selves, you know, in hopes for our future to hear. So thank you for being brave enough to share that. You kind of touched on this next question. What advice would you give someone trying to be celibate until marriage? Jenny, this question is definitely directly to you, because it's a blessing. It's a blessing to walk in your shoes, and your husband is going to see it as a blessing that you walked in those shoes. And so I asked you this question very proudly.
I can answer this one, ladies. Yay! So I can tell you that honestly, and I know we talked about this on our Wednesday call last week, it's literally God's grace, first of all. I made this decision when I was in 7th grade. You don't know what the hell you're getting yourself into in 7th grade. But I can tell you that at that time it was a religious decision, but it shifted. But God always covered me. But something that I was always very clear in is when I was, dating someone, it was a conversation that I had to have. And it was something that I had to learn that it's not an insecurity. The beautiful ladies in this group, if you are celibate or you're a virgin, whatever your path is, know that there's power in saying no to your flesh. Because everybody can say yes to that. But when you die to your flesh is when you're allowing your spirit to come through. And I truly think that that's when you're going to find the right man. So if you are quieting that the entire time you're dating, you're looking at who is this person, like Cass was saying, who is governing him? What's leading him? Can he lead me? If he's constantly giving into that sexual part of himself and he can't say no to that, then is he being obedient in other areas of his life? So something with just being celibate is just knowing that it's bigger than you. It's, I can tell you ladies, just because I say no doesn't mean it's easy. It's so hard. Everybody talks about how good it is. I'm like, I want to know. I want to be my husband. But at the end of the day, you have to remember, what's your reason why? Are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it for God? Are you doing it for society? Or because a lot of the sisters in here are celibate? Because when you have that reason why, it's unshakable. I know that my husband is going to get that one piece of me. Other men have had my first kiss. They've had this, they've had this, they've had all these other firsts, but he gets that one piece of me that nobody else has. And he better walk around proud. He can tell all his friends, tell them all. That's the one piece. But that's something for me I have so much pride in, and knowing that I've been able to say no to everybody else, and I've been saving it just for you. So for me, that's my driving force. Like the world has had other parts of me, but you get this one piece. And, you just have to set those healthy boundaries. Don't be laying horizontal. Sleepovers in my next relationship may not be a thing. And I love to cuddle. But I'm like, what do I have to do to make sure that I am being faithful to what God needs? And if that's what it has to be, then that's what it has to be. Because ultimately, I know He is going to bless me after I get married. Candy and Sarah have already prayed over my future sex life. Find friends who pray over that stuff for you. That's important too. But I digress.
Yeah, so powerful, so powerful. That one part of you, that's important. Get you a shirt. That one part of you. That's powerful. Kels, this is to you. Kind of piggybacking off the question a little bit. If you had a friend that came to you in the moment of like, hey, girl, look, I'm struggling with sex. I don't know the power of my no. What advice would you give them?
Well, it's crazy because I've actually been in this situation before. Really, with all of our RAIN conversations and just like from life experience, it would probably be a very real conversation. I would probably tell them things that I won't say on this call. I can be very straightforward and blunt. Like, hey, stop being a hoe. Like, just stop it, get it together. That's probably how that conversation would go. But really just letting her know like that she's worth more than just that sexual aspect. And yes, it might be good with this person, but like you're more than just that. Like that's just one of the levels or layers of yourself. And you can't, and someone's told me this also, like, you can't just be giving pieces of yourself away to these random dudes who are really not worthy of you, because in a few weeks, few months, he's going to be canceled anyway. So it's like, why are you almost like breaking your own heart and giving pieces of your soul to this person who's undeserving of you? So really just a come to Jesus conversation and looking at them and telling them about themselves.
Right, so powerful. I mean, think about it like a cup that's full, right? Every time you give a guy a little bit of you, you're just pouring out that cup, right? And that's less that you get to give to your husband until, right, you get full, filled back up. So great word there, Kels. Great word. Cass, this is coming to you. What is one small thing someone could do every day to greatly improve their life? Maybe something you do currently that you've done in the past that has worked for you.
That's such a loaded question. I truly believe that everybody can get 1% better every day. That's something that I've learned on my Herbalife journey for the last 7 years. I'm my biggest life quote, well, I have two, and it's what's for you won't pass you by. Okay. So what's for you will not pass you by, and fall down 7 times, stand up 8. And I feel like if you remember those two things and you continue striving, I don't care how bad your day was, if you can go to bed at night with your head clear, lay your head on your pillow and feel good about your day, and wake up the next day and give it your all again, you're gonna get 1% better. Now, if you sit and you sulk, and this is coming from somebody that suffers from depression, anxiety, and everything else, but I will tell you, if you sit and sulk in those moments too much, you're not going to get better. So it's kind of having that moment, waking up and trying again the next day. I'm a structure person. So if you need structure, create some structure, little things. Give yourself daily goals. Give yourself weekly goals or monthly goals. I'm a huge person on stretch goals, whether that's work, weight, praying, reading the Bible, learning how to cook, learning how to do your hair. Give yourself goals and little stretch goals, and you'll get better each day. But remember those 2 quotes: what's for you won't pass you by, and fall down 7 times, stand up 8.
Awesome. So powerful. Thank you for those golden nuggets. We are going to go over the hour mark. This call is fire. We're not going to end it, but if you absolutely have to go, we understand your priorities, and have a great night if you do. And prepare your questions. I will take any questions you have for me. I don't know all the questions. If I don't have the answer, I'm going to tell you honestly, I don't have the answer. But I definitely will try to find it, or find someone who has the answer for you. We have 2 questions. And I'm going to open this up to all the Queen leaders to answer as they choose to. The second to last question is, oh, this is a juicy one. This is like, you want to morally answer it right, you want to spiritually answer it right, but what is the flesh saying, right? So this is going to test you right here. Could you continue dating someone after being cheated on by them? Why or why not? And any Queen leader can answer.
I'll go ahead and just break the ice real quick. I forgave after cheating. Actually, with my husband, he committed adultery and had a baby within our marriage. And that was hard. You know, I walked away and I said that was it, but I did the work. I forgave. And when I chose to stay, I knew to leave that behind me. When I chose that the relationship was over after that, and after we gave it a try, it was like, well, it was not meant for us. It was not meant. But I never held that against him. I forgave him for that. I healed that part of our relationship. And I thought that maybe we had a second shot. So I forgave and I stayed. Now, today, would I do that? I don't think so. I don't think I would date somebody who wouldn't respect me, first of all. So then therefore he wouldn't cheat on me, right? But back then I did. I think there's a big part in the forgiveness. If you stay with someone who commits adultery or cheats on you, you have to forgive. You have to let it go and move forward. Otherwise, you're always holding that over their head. And therefore, that's not a healthy relationship.
Are you taking multiple responses? I was going to piggyback off of what Raquel said. I honestly don't know what I would do. I feel like no one really knows how you're going to react. I feel like there'd be a roller coaster of emotions definitely in a process of healing that needs to happen. But for me, what Raquel said is super powerful because I grew up in a household where my father cheated on my mom and had a child outside of their marriage. And my mom like accepted the child, and that's my little sister. She's like my best friend. But I noticed, especially with going through Rain and growing, that my mom never truly forgave my dad. And that shifted their interaction for the entire 30 plus years of their marriage. And I'm like, yo, if he wasn't gonna forgive him, let this man go. Like, that's like me as a child. Of course, I would never say that to her face because it'd probably be a fight. But I understand that, like, if you're going to be with someone, you have to forgive them, truly forgive them. If not, like, you're going to be miserable the rest of the relationship.
I'll just say I'm in the same boat as Kels. I shook my head no, and I truthfully would say no. I've been cheated on, and I'm somebody that I will actually say, if I break up, like for real break up, like you delete it, blocked, can't stand you no more, I don't turn back, I don't go back. I just have this very I'm very black and white in some of those situations. And I have family online, so it's really awkward, but I grew up in a household where my father cheated on my mom, you know what I mean? And my dad used to take me, and his girlfriends used to bribe me with things. They got me like this little mermaid dish set so I keep my mouth quiet, right? But like that's the environment I grew up in. And my mom to this day still acts like it was okay. You know, they divorced for something completely different, but it's like I will never allow that to be my household. And if I have children, I don't want them to see that and to think that that's okay. And maybe that's why I'm so like, oh, you done did something I don't like, I'm out, because of how I saw my childhood with my parents, whether it be the adultery and things like that. So I would say I couldn't. And you said flesh, that's still my flesh answering, but the Bible backs me. So the Bible says I ain't got to stay either. So biblically and flesh, I said no.
Awesome. Any other queen leaders? Okay, last question for the queen leaders. In your relationships, put these in order from most important to least important. They're all important, by the way. But how would you categorize it as important for your relationship? Respect, love, and trust. Okay, from the most important on down. Respect, love, and trust.
Y'all asked this question last time and got me all the way around. Because last time I put trust first, and then as the other women started speaking, I was like, oh, I want to take my answer back. So I would say respect first. You have to respect me, absolutely. And then I would say love, and then I would say trust. And the reason why I put trust last, because I kind of think it ties into respect. If there is respect in a relationship first, then I believe that there should be trust as well. But I know I threw myself under the bus. I went first, so I may flip them as they go, but I think it would be respect number one, most important. You must respect me. And that's in the Bible too, like Cass said, that backs me up. And then I would say love, and then I would say trust at the end.
All right. Yeah, I was like, dang, I feel like it was a test last time and I got it wrong, even though it's like not a right or wrong thing. But okay, so listening to Jenny, right? Okay, so I would say respect, and then trust, and then love. That's the order I would put it in. And like respect, I feel like we have, like, if we don't respect each other from like the beginning, like we're never going to get much further than that. A respect for time, like a respect for our past experiences, like respect on so many different levels. But building trust, that I can trust in you, and like we were sharing earlier, like I have to be able to trust you to lead me. I have to be able to trust you with my heart. So that trust has to be there for, I feel that, not necessarily a wall, but for me to give you access to that piece of me.
Go ahead, Amanda.
You got it.
No, I'm just saying I wasn't even on the panel last time, and I remember this trick question. I'm with them. This is a trick one, because I was all the way opposite. I think I had love last time on my little notes when I did it. I I definitely would say, no, I can't answer. I'm up there with respect first, love, then trust is how I'm feeling, which is actually polar opposite as what I said last time. And I would say definitely if you respect me, I feel like that's one of the biggest things, and something in this season I'm learning is super important. Do you respect me? Do you respect who I am entirely, unapologetically? And then if you love me, I don't know. Yeah, I'm stuck. You go ahead, man.
Well, there's definitely no right or wrong answer, you know, and I think that it continues to evolve as you step into marriage. Because, you know, and it's also our definition of them. Like, people have different definitions of love than others, right? But absolutely, respect for me would be first. Respect is something that you can provide to somebody without knowing them. And I think that that really starts a relationship off. Like, if I respect myself, then I just respect people. And trust is such a big piece, because if I don't trust you and I don't respect you, it doesn't matter how much I love you, even though love covers everything, right? So love covers the multitudes of sins, and God's love is one, it's an action, it's powerful. We get to love unconditionally. We get to love when we don't feel like it. We be loving when we don't feel like it, by the way, because he be getting on my nerves, y'all. But we get to love anyway. But honestly, I know that if my respect was broken and my trust was broken, then I could love you, but that love might not hold us together. Trust actually is very huge. I almost might put that first, but I know respect kind of plays on it. So, hella confusing. I'm going to stick with what I said last time. Respect, trust, and love. Would you like to share, Raquel?
Yeah, I think for me, last time my answer was completely different. But I think for me, trust comes first, and then respect is earned, and then love lasts forever. That's how I think of it, right? So I have to trust you to let you in, to get your, like, I feel like respect comes unknown. Like, if you meet somebody and they're disrespectful, you right away are like, no, you know what I mean? So that's kind of like a given. But if you earn my trust and I let you in my heart, then it's like, that's why I think that's why trust trumps respect for me, because it should be a given. They should be respectful. Otherwise, why are you wasting your time with that person? So I think that trust comes first, because I have to open myself up. I have to be able to trust you in order to respect you, in order to know that, you know, I can trust you with my heart. Like, trust you with my heart, trust you with my feelings, trust you with my life. Like, I think that's my answer.
And honestly, if it was a test, all y'all ladies would have passed, because there's no wrong answer. And we value all your answers.
What about for you as a guy, as a man?
As a man, I made the question. I'm stumbling over it. Man, I will have to probably say respect, trust, and then love. But again, I can understand how trust and respect, you know, can kind of go between first and second. But I got two answers. I got two answers. I don't have one.
Okay.
All right. So at this time, we are over, but I definitely want to allow you ladies, queen leaders, or any of the ladies that are watching, to ask me any questions. If you have want any advice, or if you have questions to the queen leaders, feel free to also ask them as well.
Just unmute yourself and ask a question if you have one. If not, no problem.
I must have came with some fire. I answered everybody's questions today, huh?
You did. What's interesting, though, is one person asked the question and then everybody asked the question. Just, we need one person to break the ice. And if not, it's okay, because we are over time. But just talk over me if you have a question.
I think I have one. I don't know how to formulate it. Okay, so I feel like women, like we're blessed to have this platform, right, of RAIN, where we can plug in, like, we're surrounded by like-minded women and we're growing and things like that. I feel like not enough men have that type of situation. That's like the first thing. But I feel like there's a phenomenon, I don't know if I said that right, of women who are like working on themselves, getting it together, trying to be like in a better mindset to have healthier relationships. And on the opposite side of things, I feel like there's a lot of men that are like, I'm not ready for a relationship because A, B, C, D, I don't know, past hurt, whatever. What is that? Do you know? And I know you're not like the spokesperson for all men, but you're here right now, you know? So
Yeah, I can't take responsibility for all men because they be out there doing some foolish things. But if I can give my honest opinion, I really believe that there's a growing, I guess you could say, growing bucket of women who are growing closer to God, who are doing things to attract that husband. And then there's a bucket of men that are still tainted by the water of women throwing themselves at them. And so like they're still living in this bucket of women that are easily accessible, that are willing to be validated through that one night stand, or that's validated through those late night phone calls. And because it's so easy and it feels so it's so easy to be comfortable in this bucket, that they have a harder time to be pulled over to a righteous woman, to a woman that will pray for them, not a woman that will sleep with them. And I think the less that we have, and you women continue to encourage this tainted bucket of water, the more the ladies will come over. And then the men, I think men at times, we want to be led and show me what's right, because honestly, all I seen was wrong. All I seen was easy. And the more we see that this is not easy, I'm going to fight for this because this is right and righteous, the more men I think will continue to gravitate to that. So it's not you, it's us. Well, not me, but them.
He said, look for a woman that will pray for you and not sleep with you. I know y'all took that down on your Facebook. Better at him, right? Give him credit for that. And the other question, that was a good one, Kelvana.
It was.
You coming with
the
heat,
Kel.
Tasha, did you have a question, sis? I saw you unmute yourself for a second.
Yeah, I did. Really, honestly, I wanted to just say it's not a question, but to apologize. Yeah, and you're like, it must be somebody on an iPad in the beginning of this, and I am on an iPad. And I was like clicking the screen, and I was like, what is this? And it was just marking it up, and then I thought, oh my God, how do I get out of here? Then I wrote the word sorry, and you're like, do we have some demon or something? Some funny stuff.
I'm sorry, girl, I'm tripping all the time. He tells me.
No, I know, it was just funny, but thank you anyway.
Love you. Does anybody else have a question for Izzy, for anybody else? Comment, nothing, y'all good?
I have a question.
Okay.
So it's geared towards you too because you're married, but all of the ladies that talked about being alpha, so like as an independent woman, I wanted to ask you, Amanda, how do you overcome that alpha mentality? I know you still walk in that, that light of knowing you own yourself, but like being married, how do you, because a man's naturally going to be alpha, he's naturally going to lead, I would think. How do you deal with that, overcoming that and making that work? Or, of course, on behalf of the rest of the ladies that said that.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. So, you don't really know how you're going to do until you're doing it, type of thing. So I know that I prepared myself prior to marriage, like, oh, I'm going to submit to my husband. No problem. I'm going to this, I'm going to that. But as we've been together, it's shown up in the smallest places. So for me, it was like a struggle for him to carry my bags, because I was like, bro, I carry bags, you know what I mean? Or like groceries to bring them in. Like, we're going to get all the groceries in or die, right? Like, we're not going to come back. And so I'm the type of person that, I carry all my bags in, and he's like, here, carry this small little bag, and I got the rest. And so there was a lot of testing of my ego of like, I got this type of thing, that I just had to learn to submit to. And the more that I submitted to it, the easier it got. And that showed up in bigger places. So you kind of have to give yourself grace in the small things that will then show up in the bigger things. Also, in God's word, it says that we allow a man to lead. So I talk to God like, yo, you said he's supposed to lead. So if he messes up, you got us, right? Like, so I get to trust, I have to submit to what you said. And I know that you're going to take care of his mistakes and still bless me. If he turns left, we're supposed to go right. And so it's just, there's another level of knowing I serve more than just submitting to my husband and allowing him to leave. There's something bigger. And I will also say that it's definitely helped me to grow personally. Like it's not really about the alpha female. It's like that personal development and self-control. So it just made me more aware of my small ways and my attitude and the dominance I have in that, my mouth. Your gift can be your curse. My mouth is powerful, but it's also my curse. He wants me just to shut up sometimes, and I don't know how to. So we're still working on that one, but it's a work in progress. You have to give yourself grace. However, I do believe that as we give ourselves grace, don't ever let grace be the excuse why you don't keep trying. And so I strive all the time to be better, and I'm not afraid to apologize when I'm wrong. And so I'll take time to myself, pray with God, and God's like, you know, you were wrong. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready to so it's just a progress that you get to consistently help yourself through. But I would say that, but it's just a choice. Ultimately a choice. If you want to do it, you will do it. You have to be intentional. This is my husband's favorite word in our home, but be intentional about allowing him to lead, intentional about your day, intentional about spending time with my daughter, intentional about rubbing his back. Like I have to think about it, intentional about having sex, because as much as we talk about trying to sustain from it, we could have a whole nother topic about the importance of having it within your marriage and not making it a task, but making it a priority. And that's something we strive for too. So
I'll kind of piggyback on it. I live by the word intentional. Like if you do anything and you don't do it with intentionality, like what is the purpose of you doing it? You know what I'm saying? And I would say for her alpha side, it definitely shows up. Now I will definitely say this too. You as a woman, when you find a man that's alpha, that doesn't mean you're not alpha, right? That doesn't mean you don't get to carry that trait, because she leads in so many ways that I can make a list out of it, right? And so she shows her leadership qualities there as well, and I get to follow. And so it's important that when you guys meet your husband, that you don't suppress your leadership, you don't suppress what's alpha to you, and that he allows you to shine in that area, because there's weight men can't carry that women has to. And so I really will encourage you ladies to keep that going for you. Is there any other questions?
Can I just make a statement off of that? So that is something that I've struggled with for a while as well. I just always considered myself very dominant in a lot of my relationships. And the story I would tell myself is that like nobody can keep up with me. And like, that's why a lot of my relationships didn't work, which is probably why a lot of them didn't work. But I also had to start to reframe how I was thinking about someone being dominant and what I needed in that sense. Like I think sometimes we have to really break down what dominance means to us and what alpha means to us, because sometimes people think like they need somebody to come in who's going to be like very vocal and forward, and I'm going to tell you what we're going to do, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But not everybody is alpha or dominant in that way. Some people are very quiet and very like to themselves, but they're still very dominant. And so I had to realize that I thought that what I needed was somebody to be like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And like, that still doesn't work with me either. I realized that it's about like an energy. It's the energy that you bring that allows me to come from here to down here. And we could be quiet in the room together, but your energy that you're bringing to my space is making me, and it's a level of comfort. I think that's really what it is. It's making me comfortable enough, like Cass was saying, like trusting enough and comfortable enough to, okay, I don't have to be up here all the time. I'm always up here. I'm always on edge. I feel like I'm always like, I got to get shit done. I got to do this. I got to do that. If I'm in your space and you make me feel comfortable enough to come down here, and even if we're not even saying anything, and I can put my phone down and I can chill out and I'm not thinking about the million things that I need to get done or that I need you to do for me, your energy is making me calm. And that's how I feel like I can submit to you. It's not that you're coming in and telling me what we're going to do for the day or how we're going to set up our life, because I don't need that. I know how my life is set up. But for you to come in and make me feel comfortable. So I think it's about just discovering what dominance and what alpha means to you and what you need to balance you out. What's your yin and yang? What's going to make you feel at ease and feel comfortable? And that's something I really, really had to work on, like really had to work on breaking down what that means and why I feel like I need that, what that dominance means to me and why I feel that's important for me. So yeah, it's a lot of personal development, like everybody was saying, and just really discovering what that means for you and how you can put off the energy that you need to then receive.
Yes, girl, fire. So important. You know, everybody's strength looks different. You know, just because you're loud doesn't mean you're strong. Just because you're bossy doesn't mean you're strong, right? There's also a difference in control, wanting to control. And when you come from an abusive relationship like me, I can identify things as controlling when they're really not. And so you have to also be able to identify that. But something else I just was on my heart to say was that we get to align ourselves with somebody that's just as powerful as us. I think that there's this weird energy that sometimes we can carry as women. I'm sure men too, but I'm speaking to women, that we want to have somebody weak enough to lead so that we can like make sure he needs us. Like there's this power in being needed, or, you know, oh, I can fix him, falling in love with potential, wanting to, you know, help him evolve. And even though that's a good heart, it's very important that if we're wanting a man to lead, he's got to be able to lead. And we can't be in a situation where we're carrying him and then we're expecting him, though. Because this is what we do. We carry him, but then we expect him to carry us. Like, why aren't you carrying me? But baby girl, you knew from jump that he couldn't carry himself. So like, you're paying the bills, you're taking care of him. He's letting you walk on the opposite side of the street. He's not opening your door for the car. Like every single day, y'all, my husband opens my door to my car every single day. And this is not like, oh, he's like glorify him, but he's doing things that he did in the beginning. He didn't just show up with his best suit on day one. Like, it's very important that we have consistency. However, my dominance could have stopped that, because I could be ungrateful. I could expect it. I could be all kinds of ways that I've had to learn how to submit, let my ego go down, but also ensure that I stop trying to fix men. And that was something I did way before my husband. I was always looking for somebody that was a little bit broken, not intentionally, but unintentionally. I would try to be fixing my past, my dad, you know, like trying to like fix situations in my past. And so I just wanted to leave that, but I'm gonna allow my husband to close. I love you ladies, and I'm excited for us to continue to elevate.
Awesome. So powerful. Thank you all who shared outside of the Queen Leaders as well. I will leave you with this. As you guys know, Amanda did a lot of work to get to where she is now. And so I will leave a rhetorical question for you guys. Are you doing more work behind closed doors, or are you doing more work when the doors are open? Because if you're doing more work when the doors are open, sometimes that can be a front. Sometimes that can just be, hey, I'm doing it because I'm trying to show that I'm strong, right? But when the door closed, when you're by yourself, are you really dropping to your knees, right? Are you really praying for your husband? And honestly, that can really show you your truth intention of what you're seeking. So again, a rhetorical question, but something to think about. Thank you, ladies. Have a great night. I appreciate you all. Until next time.